the founder and CEO of NGO Whisperer, is the person who inspired me to start the Young Global Entrepreneurs. And since then, I've worked with her very, very closely. So I knew what I was going in for. So when I was offered this opportunity, I just knew I was going to gain. So I've learned a lot. I've learned about program management from inception to monitoring and evaluation. That means, how do you write a proposal? How do you seek funders? How do you monitor your work?
I have always been wanting to build my capacities so that I can offer good services, so that I can offer the best that I have to my people, to my clientele. And this is exactly what I got from the NGO Whisperer Fellowship Program. It ran for 6 months. And to be honest and to be sincere to you people who are listening and those who are watching, it is worth it.
I really wanted to be in, because remember, this is the time we are scaling. And scaling means that we are going to be in 47 counties, connecting over 80,000 security people. So we needed to be equipped with a lot of things. So that is how I came to be and how I came to apply for that, because we really needed to be guided.
I spent many years in the business community, in the business world. And I've been, I was vice president of a number of large companies. And I thought I knew a lot about business and business administration and networking. But I realized, working with Tree of Life Ministries, that the nonprofit world is incredibly different. And I really felt like I needed to understand better how to maneuver and how to work through some of the challenges you face as an NGO that I didn't have experience with in the business world. So the class for me was eye-opening, and really has helped me to understand how we need to make some changes within our own nonprofit to grow and to better serve the community that we are working with.
I'm a social worker by profession. And all my career, I always worked with NGOs. I never worked for South African government. So when I saw that advertisement, I felt that it's talking to me, because I'm a firm believer to lifelong learning. We're learning all the time. So I felt that when the opportunity was presented, I must grab it.
It all started with somebody referring us and sharing the story about you. And immediately after that, it was then organized that we would join your class. After all my years that I have been educated and working for prevention, I want to tell you that Dr. Carolyne literally turned my perception around and my life around, because she has a way of dealing and sharing information that is so genuine, beyond all the technical side of her association and on training you how to run NGOs. There's a whole different side which teaches you about compassion. It teaches you what to look for in other people. It teaches you how to look within yourself and recognize your potential and not to give up. So I can tell everyone with honesty that it was a meaningful, passionate 6 months.
I wanted to acquire skills and knowledge on how to run the nonprofit organization activities. That's why I joined NGO Whisperer Fellowship Program.
When you're starting a non-profit, sometimes nobody prepares you for the challenges that you're gonna face ahead. And me being a finance person, it was actually very difficult for me to transition. So the training actually came quite in time.
We actually had the great opportunity to apply, and we were invited to do so. And we actually sent in the paperwork, the history background of Dozy Inc. And happily we were accepted. So it's really been a great experience.
it was through Global Peace Let's Talk when we were having regular meetings, and Melody mentioned that, no, there is something that is lacking. So she wanted to make sure that we have those extra skills that matters in our work. So she said, I'm going to refer you to my friend who is called Dr. Carolyne. And oh my God, it was a blessing. You saw that we wanted to do so much, but the skills were lacking. And you saw the zeal that was in us. And after you had explained everything about NGO Whisperer, I felt that I need to be part and parcel of the NGO Whisperer. And boom, Dr. Carolyne offered us a scholarship. Oh my God. This was the biggest blessing that I required, that I would not get from anyone. I was going to become the NGO Whisperer Fellow for 2021.
For me, I saw a great opportunity for further professional development. As you know, I think in the nonprofit sector, it's a constant growing experience. One needs to keep in mind that you have to continue your education, and any opportunity where I can learn, especially improving my professional status, being a CEO of a nonprofit organization and running my organization and growing it further. That was just an amazing opportunity to be part of this program, which I'm super grateful for.
First of all, the number one is funding, looking for funds. How do you source funds? Because that is one of my primary challenges. How do we get funds? We've been struggling, but when we were taught, how do you present yourself to the funder? How do you even know who to ask for funds? There are all these steps. How do you eventually write a proposal? And that is for me, and knowing how much to ask for, because sometimes you think you can ask for so much. How do you evaluate yourself and see that this, I'm not yet there, or I'm still learning? So all that is under funding. Then there's also partnerships. It's so important to have partnerships, but how do you know who you should partner with? And apart from that, how do you develop relationships with your partners? And how do you give feedback to your partners? How do you maintain your partners? So partnerships are very important in a nonprofit because you can't do it by yourself. And this is some of the information we learned. And one other one which came out for me, which stood out really, is monitoring and evaluation.
Number one was the skills on resource mobilization. How to financially manage your institution to identify where your capacities are and where you can easily benefit. There was also this area of the marketing skills. I didn't have the skills on, especially the social media, how to market, how to position myself for visibility. Also, there was the issue of networking. You need to network with the right people so that you can have an impactful activities and programs. The theory of change, this was another one, powerful one. I really benefited. Linking the problem tree with the objective tree. I mean, this was something very new to me. How do you connect the problem versus the objective and how to tackle it? So it was really beneficial. And may I take this opportunity even to thank the people who took us through. Very powerful, very skilled, very professional. They used all avenues to reach the message. I mean, their service delivery, oh my goodness, it was the best.
Every lesson, it's like it eats into the other. It kind of rolls on to the other. So it's very difficult to do to say one without the other. But I guess when we were analyzing, we came up with three areas that we thought that would be immediately be utilized by us for us to move forward. And one of them is, of course, resource mobilization, strategy, monitoring, and evaluation. Because again, when we are going to scale, we need resources. How do we mobilize them? Who do we contact? What is our network? That is the single, by the way, that is the single most challenge we've been having, because we would have scaled sooner. Because we need to mobilize so much funding so that we can go until the grassroots. So that was one. Then strategy. Then how do we plan this project that we are talking about, we are scaling. And now you see we are quickly moving into the electioneering period when we are going to have all mayhem that is expected. So we needed to plan for that. And then now, how are we evaluated? What is the impact that we are going to be having? What is the impact we should be looking for? Because, you know, most times you're working so hard, but you don't know what are the hit points? Where is it important for you to focus on so that you can say this project is impactful? So the NGO Whisperer Fellowship was able now, we were taken through that, and I took my team through that as well. So those are the 3 areas.
One thing for sure is planning is so critically important. And one would think that that's common sense, but when you're in a nonprofit world, oftentimes you are distracted just by the day-to-day, getting through the challenges in front of you today. And you'll deal with tomorrow when it comes. So being able to sit down and really plan out a strategy for the future is critical. And while you still need to deal with today's issues, keeping your eye on the ball and the focus on the future, really, it was emphasized heavily in the course, and it really was able to help me understand how we need to do that better within our own organization. The other thing was networking and creating a group of like-minded folks that you can go to and have as a resource to be able to bounce ideas off of, to be able to talk through ideas, to be able to just get an opinion outside of what you see in front of you every day, and know that they are facing different but similar challenges with what they do, but they understand where you're coming from in a way that sometimes others may not. Those are probably the 2 biggest changes. And I guess the third one would be resource mobilization.
And the topics that we covered, some of them are close to my heart, like monitoring and evaluation, and also the proposal writing. It's something that is lacking in me, of which as a leader is something that I should be confident about, and is one of the reasons as well that I signed up for it.
Well, the first one is being able to put all your policies and procedures in position. Extremely detailed. There's nothing there that's been left out. That was my greatest learning, is in terms of the regulations, the laws, following the correct policies, setting up the correct procedures. That was a huge, huge learning, because that's not something that I was doing. And the second thing is that everything that you do when you're in a nonprofit fundraising organization has to be extremely detailed, and it has to be open, and it has to be genuine, because checks and ticks are important. I learned that as well. Never try in starting an NGO and not having everything out there on the table. Make sure that everything you have is transparent. There's nothing that you can keep away. Make sure that you're following due process. That to me was huge learning, because when I started, it definitely didn't have the correct policies or the correct procedures. So we had to redo all of that. Working in an NGO environment, the details of that, what to focus on, that was another great learning area for me, is to make sure that when you are applying for fundraising, that every single area that you are going to be working on is detailed and explained clearly and fully, so that due process is followed. The other thing that I'm telling you quite a bit, all mixing together, was that funders are extremely strict. They will link with your organization and support you when everything is following due process. So it's the total of the process, the detail of that. it ended up me having to rewrite the whole of the planning for Global Peace Led Talk.
Top of the list, I would say, was on resource mobilization. And I'd also want to mention the monitoring and evaluation, because actually monitoring and evaluation was one of my weakest points, because I didn't know like how I was supposed to monitor the impact, especially if you're talking about the impact of a child within the short duration of, say, 6 months or 1 year that they're supposed to be at the shelter. Sometimes you're not able to, evaluate how effective, the program has been. So right now, I think I'm more focused on that, and I can pinpoint and say that this so far is what we have done with a lot of confidence.
1, monitoring and evaluation. 2, sustainability of community projects. 3, storytelling.
How to be proficient in grant writing, how to make sure that you align yourself, that you align your organization with those funding capacities that are also in line with your vision and your mission. Very important. The third one would be, that your branding should be top notch, that you should present yourself in a certain light that lines up with your vision and your mission. So in other words, your branding should be superb. It should be excellent. Everybody in the organization should follow suit with how you want to present your branding.
I was lacking in monitoring and evaluation. It has been a challenge to me. You can't go and implement a project and expect donors to be coming and continuing to fund you. When I'm saying this, I'm a bit sad because it was a challenge. I have a sister who is in Zimbabwe. She did monitoring and evaluation. I was happy that she has graduated. She now has a degree in monitoring and evaluation, but I said it's not enough. She might come and work with me in the very near future, but I also need to have ideas on monitoring and evaluation. So that was one of the biggest topics that I come to like. And again, looking at issues to do with resources mobilization, you took us through everything, Dr. Carolyne, although I had done a bits and pieces of that. But the way you were explaining it was one-to-one, and having somebody who got the passion to let somebody understand was a breakthrough into that area.
Few things that were just, I think, really new and fresh. One of them was the analysis, the pastel analysis. I might not have all the words in place, but looking at your organization from the perspective of everything of where the country where you're working is at, from political to economical, and all of those things that will affect, obviously, your possibly your sector. So doing the research and the pastel analysis was really, really helpful. Strategizing in the fundraising space and using the social media where you can run the fundraising campaigns was also very, very useful. And monitoring evaluation is also one of the spaces where we're continuously trying to develop and grow and see how we can improve.
When I got the skills, I had to sit down with my members, my board of management. We are 7 of us. And I passed this information to them. And believe you me, there has been so many changes, especially the commitment of the board of management. They have been now they are more committed because they could see the bigger picture. Actually, with the skills that I acquired from you, it helped me to broaden my vision and even to share my vision to people who are with me, who I am working with. It enhanced the teamwork. And based on that, then came in the restructuring. The way we were doing things previously, we had to restructure. We had to bring in new, what do you call them, monitoring and evaluation tools on board so that we can ensure that we are getting the best out of what we are bringing in.
Even though I have so many other people that are helping me with so many skills, we are coming from a business perspective as opposed to a community development perspective. So we realized that we would never have gotten to where we want to get to if it was not for the training, because then it showed us how to transition. Because we've got to transition, it's different when it comes to, even though we are a social enterprise, it's very different when it comes to community development projects. And for even us to be able to mobilize resources, there is a way we need to package ourselves. There's a way we need to plan. There's a language we need to use. So we realized that now we really need to change focus. The training assisted us now to transition.
With monitoring and evaluation skills, I've been able to follow up on the progress of the activities that we have implemented in the organization. Then with sustainability of community project, we have been able to come up with income generating activities in the organizations where I serve. Then with the storytelling, the staff that are working in both organizations also have been able to share their experiences and stories in working in those community projects. That is Baraka Care Children's Foundation and Ethel Foundation for the Aged.
The biggest change is that we have learned how to organize our thinking in such a way that we think differently about how we go after grants and funding and relationships. And we don't waste our time involving ourselves in areas that don't apply to what we need to focus on.
The first thing that has happened is that the planning stage has changed because I now have a brand new board. I put people onto the Global Peace Let's Talk board based on what I have learned from the NGO Whisperer. People with extreme high credibility, people with the knowledge and the background on how to work with an NGO, people that have the experience of many years. So the board has now shifted completely. And right now, what we are busy with is actually setting up a new structure. And I'm telling you this truthfully, that after the NGO Whisperer, what you thought, what you assumed was good, you realize now you have to change direction. So right now, that is what we are doing. The whole direction is changing. The focus is changing based on the learning.
One of the things that we have done during the homeworks that we're doing in class, I made sure that I'm responding to those homeworks according to our needs as what we need. For example, the resource mobilization plan.
We are using 2022 as our transformation year to really implement the things that we've learned in the class, the structures we want to have, and to create a new plan for education and the delivery of that education to the children of Honduras.
NGO Whisperer has become a catalyst in things that were not moving very fast. It has made things to happen. Farmers' Pride has become, is building its credibility, let me say that. It's now able to build its credibility, bringing in professional board members, bringing in our structures are unique because we have an international executive council, we have international general council, we have chairpersons who are leading blocks, different blocks around the world. When I'm talking about blocks, I'm talking about continents. And we have people who are leading chapters. When I'm talking about chapters, I'm talking about regions now, the Southern African region, the Central, the West, and whatever. So we have managed now to structure our organization, looking at what NGO Whisperer taught us. It has brought professionalism into the organization. It has brought that touch, that missing link that was between me and how to structure the organization. And I've come to learn that it's not for me to do everything. I'm the executive chairperson and founder of Farmers' Pride International. But today when I'm sitting here, I'm just an engineer who's supposed to make sure that all the functions are moving very well and let my leadership do everything. They are happy to be implementing while I'm just waiting to approve, to put my signature on what they need to be done. And it has become a way of offloading the loads that were on me, because now, right now, I'm not doing so much, but I'm just giving direction, the strategic direction to the organization, while I have partners who are doing everything. NGO Whisperer helped me so much.
The fellowship program given a lot of tools and new knowledge, which we've implemented already, some of it that we managed to implement end of last year. One of the things that I was really excited to talk to my team members, and one of the things that I've learned in the fellowship program is when you have to find a time to really step back from your sort of every day-to-day workload and look at what you're doing and why you're doing it, because I think that reflection is really important, and it also boosts that confidence, you know, of everybody involved in actually making our work possible. So it was really good and fresh to speak to my team members and ask them what they think about what we do and why we're doing it. And that reflection really helped us to kind of put some interesting points into our documents, which hopefully will then be developed further into our strategizing, you know, 3-year planning, and of course, fundraising campaigns. So a lot of the tools that I've learned in the fellowship program have helped already and will be helping even more going forward. I think it's just a continuous process of growing and developing.